Okay, so we just looked at recording the potential wind coming to the site. Uh, Now let's think about the sun, what the sun is doing. So it's a good idea to have your map oriented north. Well, this is slightly off north, but there you go. And draw a sun rose. So a sun rose um, tries to help you visualize what the sun is doing throughout the year, and it can be radically different the further away you get from the equator, what's happening over the seasons. So everyone knows that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, right? Um, well, yeah, but it only happens twice a year on the equinox, on the spring equinox, which is just gone past now, around the 21st of March, and in September, around the same time in September. At all other times of the year, it's rising either uh, closer to the north during the winter. So this is roughly the angle, roughly where the sun rises uh, in on the 21st of December on the solstice, and where it sets. This is at 51 degrees latitude in Cork in Ireland. So you get a shorter day, and the sun is very low on the horizon, and correspondingly, what it sees, what it shines on, will be less as well, and at those angles within this angle. In the summertime, it's quite a different story, and the sun is in the sky for most of the 24 hours really, in around 21st of June, the summer solstice. So in that case, the sun would be rising out here, and in the case of this site, when it gets to kind of 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, it's already risen, and you'll have great sunshine coming in here against that east-facing wall. Um, and then during the day, in this from spring to autumn, you'll have more sunlight getting in here, and this shady patch will be smaller in the middle of summer. Now, I was on site around the 12th of March, and we could see in the middle of the day that the sun line was kind of around here in the middle of the day, that the sun was hitting here and up. So this is a really good growing spot. It's going to get sun during the whole growing season from March to September anyway. And the higher up the wall you go, the more of the year it will get sun. So that's your sun rose. And after you draw that, you'll be able to see where it's hitting and at what times of the day, and how the sun and the wind, and well, you could put in frost pockets as well. That'd be maybe for um, you could put in frost pockets actually. Yeah, like down here is probably going to stay frostier longer as well in the day overall. I didn't mark that in actually. But anyway, how these sectors uh, interact with the topography of your site. In this case, the topography is buildings and walls and so on. You can you can figure out pretty much what kind of microclimates are going to be created there, and that's crucial to inform your permaculture design. So you can be pretty sure down here on against this north-facing wall, it's going to be a shady, damp, and cold microclimate overall. And that bears out because if you look back to the picture, this is from the roof oriented north. You can see that down here, even in March, it's shady and it's going to be damper and it's going to be colder than up here, this part of the site which gets more sun. Okay, so you can guess what's going on. If you can observe what's going on in reality, even better. That'll confirm your observations. Um, on the other hand, this south-facing wall is going to be a much warmer microclimate. It's going to be warmer because the sun hits it, but also because it will have high thermal mass. So it's going to be a wall made of brick or stone or concrete, and that's going to absorb any sunshine that hits it and retain it. So it'll be warm in the moment, but even after the sun passes, it should stay warmer, very, very close to the wall as it re-radiates heat. Um, this west face of this railing will also be a good growing microclimate for the afternoons and the evenings, spring, summer, and autumn. So you'll have sun hitting this as well. And there's a big difference between west facing and east facing. I know they'll each get sunlight, one in the morning and one in the evening. But when the west facing wall or surface gets its sunlight, it's in the afternoon and evening, and the ambient air temperature is higher. So it's going to be a much more valuable place for growing photosynthesizing plants. And you'll often see that in gardening books. They'll say plant your fruit tree on a southwest or west facing wall. And that's why they say west facing instead of east facing, because the east facing wall gets its light in the morning when the air temperature is generally cold. And that won't be good for photosynthesizing and can even damage plants actually. So there you go. There's a difference between west and east. Okay, so we've got warm microclimate in here. We've got a little sun trap against a little wall. That'll be warm afternoon sun trap, or midday sun traps and warm microclimates. This will be a warm early morning sun trap and kind of spring to autumn sun trap in the mornings only. So yeah, not great for growing plants, but really good for waking up to. If you want to come out with your cup of coffee or cup of tea or whatever, you could put something there to sit on, get some morning sunshine. Okay, so that is sectors and microclimates. We're going to look briefly at a few design ideas that come up on the day. That was a lot of information, especially if you're not used to permaculture design. I kind of do it all the time, so it's okay for me to run through it. So if you get overwhelmed by all those details before you go designing, just remember some key permaculture design principles like patterns to details. So we're trying to put on a pattern of what's happening on the site rather than designing details in first. We want each element to perform any functions. We're going to use relative location and create beneficial relationships between those elements. When we're designing, I try to use Yeoman's scale of permanence, and you're positioning the least flexible elements first. That really helps having a hierarchy for design, and we're going to use solar design. Okay, so now this is a photocopy. These are all photocopies of the actual maps, and when I'm designing, when you've got elements that you know you definitely want, such as rainwater harvesting tank, I actually cut them out on little bits of paper representative of the size according to the scale. So that's a 1 meter cube tank. It's actually probably too big for that garden, and it means you can move them around on the site. You can just throw them roughly where you think is going to be good. So don't get too distracted by all this first. I'll just try and put in something. So we've got a compost, we've mushroom logs, and rainwater harvesting tank. Basically, all of these elements don't need sunshine. So sunshine's at a premium here, and you want to keep those good microclimates for photosynthesizing plants and things that need sun and warmth. So when I was starting to design here, I just threw out these down here near this north-facing wall, and where we put them in the end, we can move things around. Okay, on the railing, you can't see the railing anymore, but I said we could extend that little railing with some bamboo sticks and grow climbing annuals, peas and beans in it. That'd be pretty good use. And you can have a little curb here, making a bed. Now, before we get to that, the water. There's no water to the site, and you want to start with water really. Water is crucial, and we need some water. There's no downpipes that are accessible looking at the site, so some kind of shed roof we need really to do rainwater harvesting. So if you're doing a little shed, you could sacrifice this shady, damp place. Like, you're not going to grow much there anyway. So you may as well use this shady, damp area for stuff that doesn't need light, such as a little shed, and then you'll get your surface for rainwater harvesting, and you could fill your tank. And you want that tank elevated a bit high so you can pour out at the bottom of it. And you could have it up on what will probably be a raised bed, raised retaining wall, up maybe 1.5 feet or so. I think it's good to use concrete if you can, as uh, as a material for making the walls of beds in an urban situation. They if you use wood, it's going to rot, and not only that, but wood or loose bricks and that make loads of cracks and crevices, which are great for slugs and snails to hang out and lay eggs and so on. So I know concrete's not a very sustainable material, but it's a really brilliant one when used in the right situations. So we've got a raised bed here. We have to leave some access for the earth rod, and we've a raised bed here against the wall as well. Sun-loving plants, sun-loving plants. You could have like a dwarf apple tree going against the wall here as well in that microclimate. Against this east facing wall, you could also put some more shade-tolerant fruit like raspberries, blueberries. Like raspberries are a woodland edge fruit, so they naturally grow in the shade anyway. Blueberries, yeah, they prefer sun, but they'll also do in the shade to an extent. So you can see here when I'm saying shade tolerant, I'm talking about patterns. I'm not saying raspberries, blueberries. I'm going, okay, shade tolerant plants. What plants are shade tolerant? And then you have a list of them, you know. So that's an example of designing from patterns to details. Okay, optional sitting wall. Yeah, you could build in a place to sit down here and have your morning coffee and so on if that's what you're into. And that's an example that even if you had the exact same garden here, and the exact same climate and so on, you could end up with a different design because you might not like coffee, you might work in the mornings, you mightn't like going to your garden in the morning, you know. So every design is not only site specific, but it's client specific as well. Okay, so we have our rainwater harvesting roof and we have a little herb spiral in the middle. So you can plant your different herbs on different parts of the spiral, and they'll get different. They'll be in little different microclimates as well, and you can find out what each herb likes and put them there accordingly. So there you have it. There's some preliminary design ideas. Um, Now I'm going to do more after this. Now that I've re-familiarized myself what's going on, I'm going to do a bit more design on this for Carolina because she's kindly let us use this as a demo. So I'll be back in a minute after I do some more design. Okay.